So congratulations, chapter 14 is super easy. Let's take a look at the first kind of question that's going to show up on the test. It says use this diagram and information given to find the measure of angle DFC. So what is DFC? You start with D, F, and C. So, that's the measure of the angle that we want to find. But as we can see, what's given to us? Measure of angle AFB, AFB. So this red angle over here, and measure of EFD, EFD, this other red angle over here, they are what? 20 degrees. Okay, so I'm just gonna write that down because it helps me out when I could see. So this is 20 degrees and this is 20 degrees over here. Points BFD and points EFC are collinear. Just so you know, collinear means they are on the same line, okay? So all those points are on the same line. So BFD, this is one line, and all those points are on the same line. And EFC, this is one line, and all those points are on the same line. So what's the measure of DFC? This angle over here. If this is one straight line, then obviously this plus that is going to be what? This is what we call a linear pair, okay? Because this is a straight line, okay? And so when you add measure of angle 20 and the measure of this angle over here is supposed to add up to be what? 180 degrees. So 20 plus what, or you could say x, is equal to 180. So we know that the rectangle is 160 degrees, or x is 160 degrees. So let's go ahead and put 160 degrees so I can show you that that is the correct answer, okay? So as you can see, the questions over here on the test are going to be super easy. Okay, let's see. I want another question. Okay, so let's take a look at the next question over here. It says you can represent the measures of an angle and its complement. Oh, do you remember the definition of a complement? That means when you add the two angles together, they add up to be what? 90 degrees, okay? And what about the supplements? Oh yeah, when you add the two angles together, they add up to be 180 degrees, okay? And so now you gotta find the measures of the angles described. The measure of an angle is equal to 4 times the measure of a supplement. Oh, so we're talking about supplements. So if we have a measure of an angle, then it's going to be x. So then the supplement is going to be what? They already gave it to us over here, 180 minus x, okay? The measure of an angle is equal to 4 times the measure of a supplement. So it's going to be 4 times the supplement, right? So now we got to find the measure of the angle, which is x, and you also have to find the measure of a supplement, which is 180 minus x. Anyway, let's just do this. First, you got to distribute, so x is equal to 720 minus 4x. When you have x's on both sides, you gotta get rid of the smaller x, which is negative 4x, right? So add 4x to both sides. And so that would give you 720 equals 5x. Obviously, you gotta divide both sides by 5. So x is equal to 720 divided by 5, which is 144. So let's put in the answer. The measure of the angle is 144, and the supplement is going to be what? 180 minus 144. So 36, right? Let's check the answer, and that is absolutely correct. So this is another question that's definitely going to show up on the test, okay? And you already solved these in your turn questions. So there you go. What else is there? So I told you that I'm going to give you a question that looks like this, right? Because it's important that you know how to do proofs, but you don't have to do it yourself. Everything is given to you, and you just have to select, what the correct answer is for the reasons over here. So it says complete the 2-column proof for the theorem. If two angles are congruent, then their supplements are congruent. Okay, so let's think about this one before we start putting in all our answers. If two angles are congruent, that means the two angles measure the same. Then their supplements have to be, oh, okay. Yeah, because supplements mean, so if the angles are congruent, let's say the angles are 30 degrees, then of course the supplement is going to be what? 180 minus 30, so that's going to be 150, right? So of course if two angles measure the same and they're both 30 degrees, of course their supplements are going to be congruent. They're both going to be 150 degrees. So it seems like common sense to me, but proving it is difficult, right? So what's given to us? We have two angles that are congruent to each other. We always start with the given. The measure of the supplement of ABC is going to be 180 minus the measure of ABC, because that's the definition. So that's the definition of the supplement of an angle. That's so easy. The measure of the supplement of DEF, so because now we're talking about this angle, is the same thing. And so same thing, definition of the supplement. And then if two angles are congruent, their measures are equal. Two angles are congruent. Yeah, so the measure of angle ABC and measure of angle DEF has to be the same, because that's the reason. If two angles are congruent, then that means they measure the same, like 30 degrees, right? The measure of the supplement of angle DEF is going to be 180 minus, okay, substitution property of equality. Okay, because this is an equal sign. And then the measure of the supplement of ABC is equal to the measure of the supplement of DEF. Okay, hold on, I got a phone call. Okay, so now this one, the measure is going to be the same because of what? Definition of the supplement? No. Yeah. I think so. What do you think? Addition property? No. Substitution? Oh, I think it's this one. I might be wrong on this one. I'm not sure. Okay. The supplement of angle ABC is congruent to the supplement of angle DEF. And how do you know that? Because if the measures of the supplements of two angles are equal, the supplements of the angles are congruent. Okay, let's check the answer. I knew it! What happened? But which one is wrong? Ah. So you know what, I'm gonna just try and change this one because this is the one that I wasn't quite sure of, and check the answer. I knew it. But why is it substitution property? As you can see, Miss Choi sucks, and that's why I'm gonna make sure that if I'm confused over something, for example this one, it's not gonna show up on the test. But is this whole thing where you have to fill in the blanks kind of like thing, is it gonna show up? Yes, it is. Because I told you it is, okay? So maybe something easy like this, okay? If these two angles measure the same, then the measure of angle that is equal to something like this, okay? The measure of the supplement is 180 minus ABC, right? Check. And so that's correct for the first part. So anyhow, don't worry. I'm going to give you something that's super easy that makes sense. You just have to understand what all those properties are. Make sure you have notes on them so you can use them. Okay? So there you go. So let's take a look at a question like this one. Two statements in a proof are measure of angle A is the same as the measure of angle B. B is the same as C. What reason could you give for the statement that measure of angle A is equal to C? Remember when we get rid of B, we talked about this. This is the transitive property, right? Since both statements have angle B in common, or you can use substitution property of equality by substituting measure of angle C for B. Yeah, in the first statement. So let's go ahead and check our answer, and that was correct, okay? So something simple like this could obviously be on the test. And that's it for section 1. We're just talking about things like this, supplements and all that. All right, so now let's move on to section 2. So this is my favorite section. Let's take a look at question number 1 over here. Super easy. It says in the figure below, M is parallel to N. So if you don't understand these two little lines, it means parallel. Match the angle pairs with the correct label for the pairs, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so angle 3 and 6. Let's take a look. Angle 3 and 6. They are both on the inside of the parallel line, so it's interior. And then they're on the opposite side of the transversal over here. So that's alternate interior. So 3 and 6 would be alternate interior. So that would be A. What about 1 and 4? 1 and 4, vertical. Those would be vertical angles. So that would be B, vertical angles. What about 1 and 5? 1 and 5, oh, they're both on top of the transversal and they're both on the left-hand side of the parallel line. So that would be corresponding lines. Corresponding angles. So that would be C. And finally, 3 and 5. 3 and 5 would be both on the inside of the parallel lines, but on the right-hand side of the transversal. So it's going to be same side interior angles, and that would be D. So this is something that we practiced on the board, right? So very easy question, and so easy that I might not even put this as a test item. Okay, so this is more like the question that I would put on the test. And that would be what? Suppose it says the measure of angle 6 is, this one over here is 84 degrees. It says find the measure of angle 4. Oh gosh, what kind of angles are these? They are alternate interior angles because they're on opposite sides, okay, of the transversal, but they're both on the inside of the parallel lines, right? So they are alternate interior angles, okay, and that's why they're going to measure the same. So it's 84 degrees. Just so you remember, okay, let's just remember alternate interior angles and corresponding angles. What else was there? Alternate exterior angles, okay? These all measure the same, okay? And then what are supplementary? Which angles add up to be 180 degrees? Well, that would be the same side interior angles or same side exterior angles. Okay, another angle that measure the same would be vertical angles because they are opposite. Okay, so just remember these and then it'll be very easy for you. Write this down because obviously you can use your notes, right? So let's check our answer really fast, even though I know it's correct. Okay, and then now let's move on to another question. So same thing here, measure of angle 7 is 96, so what will be 3? Same thing, but these are corresponding angles, right? So make sure you get all those facts correct. Now let's move on. More stuff. Oh, this is a really good question, okay? Which number is this? It's 15. I'm taking notes so I could give you similar questions on the test. It says ocean waves move in parallel lines toward the shore. Oh, okay, so these are waves, okay? The figure shows the path that a windsurfer takes across several waves. Ooh, surfers. For this exercise, think of the windsurfer's wake as a line. If measure of angle 1, so measure of angle 1 is this one right here, is 5x plus 2y, and measure of angle 2, and that would be this one right here, is 5x plus y, then we gotta find x and y. Okay, so you might get scared. I remember seeing this in your turn question, and I didn't go over this with you, so today is a good day. All right, so let's think about this. These are all parallel lines, and so this angle is 70 degrees, so that should be 70 degrees, and that should be 70 degrees. You know what that tells me? Number 2, 5x plus y is equal to what? 70 degrees. Then what about 5x 2y? What is this going to equal? So what's the relationship between this angle here and that angle? Yes, they are same side interior, so they add up to be 180 degrees. So if this is 70 degrees, how big do you think this angle is going to be? Yeah, this is going to be 180 minus 70, which is 110, okay? So 5x plus 2y is going to be 110 degrees. And now once you have this, you're ready to go, unless you forgot everything from Math 1, right? So then what do you want to do? Oh, 5x and 5x, they're the same, so but one has to be positive and one negative. So you know what I'm gonna do? It doesn't matter which one you pick, but I'm going to make everything on top over here negative. So positive becomes negative, positive becomes negative, positive becomes negative. And what I do next, add top and bottom. That's 0, 2y minus y is y, and that equals 110 minus 70 is 40. So y is 40 degrees, and it says just find x and y. So y is 40 degrees, and how do I find x? I just plug it in. I'm gonna plug it into this equation, okay? So there you go. 5x plus 2 times y. Instead of y, I plug in 40, and that equals 110. This is 80. So 5x plus 80 equals 110. Subtract the 80, and you're going to get 5x is equal to 110 minus 80, so that's 30. If you divide both sides by 5, x is going to equal 6, okay? So that's 6 and 40 degrees. So I hope you get this one right, because this is definitely going to be on the test, okay? So same thing over here is exactly very similar to what we just did. Let me see if there's any more. And I think that's it. So I guess the most important thing was that question over there, number 15. No, yeah, this one right here. Make sure that you understand how to solve this problem, because I'm going to give you a similar question like that, or something like this one right here. Okay? So now let's move on to section 3. So now we're in section 3, and this is the first question I see, and yikes, this is something that I'm probably not going to give you on the test, not like this, make it a little bit simplified. But anyhow, let's take a look. Use 2 of the given statements together to complete statements about the diagram to illustrate the corresponding angles theorem, then complete as converse. So if you remember how I told you all those angles measure the same, and then some angles are supplementary? Those are all called postulates or theorems, okay? And so basically what they're saying is when the lines are parallel, all those angle pairs are measured the same. But the converse is the opposite way. We don't know if they're parallel, okay? So there you go. Let's see. Given statements, lines, what and what are parallel? Well, it doesn't say anything about lines L and M being parallel. So let's see. First, I'm just gonna say L. What's going on here? Why don't they let me type anything in here? I don't know what's going on with this. Okay, so by the theorem, if lines L and M are parallel, then angle 2 have to be congruent to what? Angle 2 have to be congruent to probably angle 6, right? Because I see 2 and 6 over here. So by its converse, if angle 2 and 6 are congruent to each other, then line L and M are parallel, okay? So that's basically what they're trying to say. The converse basically means you don't know if these two lines are parallel or not, but because we know that angle 2 and 6 measure the same, that proves to us that line L and M are congruent to each other. So let's check the answer. That's correct. Sorry for wasting a little bit of your time over there. So some basic things like that. So let's take a look at question number 5. What must be true about angle 8 and 4 for the lines to be parallel? Well, 8 and 4 are corresponding angles, so they have to measure the same. So they have to be congruent to angle 4 because of the converse of the corresponding angles theorem. Only then the lines can be parallel. So there's just a lot of practice that you have to work on. Question number 7, same thing. Suppose, but this time you have to use a little bit of algebra, which is my favorite. So let's work on this question over here. Very exciting for me. Measure of angle 6 over here, it says is what? 3x plus 20 degrees. And then measure of angle 3, I was going to say angry 3, is what? X plus 80. and x is 20. So then are the lines parallel? This is a dumb question that I'm not going to give you because why would they tell you what x is equal to anyway? So anyway, if it's 20, 20 plus 80, this is 100. 20 times 3 is 60. 60 plus 20 is 80. So then are the lines parallel? I don't know. What kind of angles are these? Whoa, these are same side interior angles. And so I told you that for same side interior angles, the angles are supposed to be supplementary, meaning they add up to be 180 degrees. Oh, 100 plus 80 is 180. Okay, since the measure of angle 6 is 80 degrees and measure of angle 3 is 100 degrees, they add up to be 180. Okay, so let's actually type it in. I think I said this is 80, right? I hope. And this is 100, so they're 180. So then, yes, the lines are not. No. The lines, I'm sorry. Yes, the lines are parallel because of what? Because of the converse of the same side interior angle postulate, okay? So obviously this is very easy. You just have to understand which postulate you have to use, okay? Ooh, this is a very interesting one. What value of x makes the vertical parts of the letter N parallel? So we're trying to figure out if this line over here and that line over here is parallel. So this is more of my favorite question that I would give you on the test, right? Because what kind of angles are these two? They are alternate interior angles. Alternate interior angles. And what that means is they measure the same. Okay, they measure the same. So you have to set it up. 5x plus 9 equals 8x. You have variables on both sides, so you gotta subtract the small guy. So 9 is equal to 8 minus 5 is 3x. Divide both sides by 3, so x is 3. So when x is 3, the alternate interior angles are congruent and the vertical parts of the letter N are parallel, okay? And so let me just go ahead and plug in the answer. It's very easy this time, okay? This test is supposed to be super easy. And let's see if there's any other question that I'm going to give you over here, but I think that's about it. You just have to basically prove that the converse of certain angles, if two angles measure the same or they add up to be 180 degrees, depending on whatever theorem or postulate you're using, if they are, then the two lines are parallel. If not, they're not, okay? So I'm gonna stop right there with section 3. Ooh, I like this question over here, but I'm not gonna do it with you because I'm gonna give this to you as a test question instead. Anyway, let's move on to section 4. Okay, so I'm trying to do more questions from section 4, but for some reason, as you can see, my screen is not working, nothing's popping up. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to finish recording this portion, and then tonight, probably now, it's going to be later than 7 p.m. I'm going to post another video for questions on probability and section 4, okay? So I'm just gonna wrap it up over here for now. Okay, good night.